This game has quickly scaled the charts on Steam and caught the attention of the gaming community. It's called The Precinct, and it's a title that throws you back into the chaotic streets of 1980s America, kinda cops and robbers style, with a camera angle that might just spark some nostalgia. But here's the big question: should you buy The Precinct? Let's break it down. So what exactly is The Precinct? Well, in short, it's an open world police sim set in a fictional US city during the 1980s. You play as Officer Nick Cordell Jr., and you're basically like a rookie cop following in the footsteps of his father, so it's already checking the cliche box nice and early, but that's okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But plot aside, we're gonna get more into that here in a few moments. The game puts you into this top-down isometric view, and that's something we haven't seen done in a modern fashion in quite some time. It's instantly reminiscent of the original Grand Theft Auto games, and that alone is going to catch the eye of a very specific group of players, me included, but you're obviously on the opposite side of what you're used to in Grand Theft Auto. You're patrolling the streets, you're chasing down criminals, responding to radio calls, you're writing the occasional ticket if that's your thing. It's one part law enforcement fantasy, one part urban chaos simulator, if you will, and it's kind of just a janky sandbox, and I think that's what makes the game so enticing. So let's talk about actual gameplay here. At its core, The Precinct revolves around a pretty simple gameplay loop. I mean, you patrol, you respond, you arrest, repeat, and there's tiny story or plot elements thrown in between. You got your precinct as a home base, obviously, and you receive calls and you decide how to respond. It's very dynamic. You receive points according to how accurately you followed the handbook. So, if you issue a fine where you should have arrested someone or vice versa, you're gonna get points deducted or whatever it may be. You can drive through the city, flash your lights to pull over cars. There's foot chases. You can use your baton. You can use your gun. And there's a crime map that updates dynamically and that lets you prioritize what kind of chaos or what you want to respond to, what you want to address. And there's something about the game's clunkiness that's going on in the background of this all. There's very wonky NPC behavior. If you are directly running into an NPC, they'll run the other way and scream, which I just think is pretty funny. There's awkward car physics, ragdoll animations, and sometimes it's full spaghetti mode. If you hit a car head on, they'll just fly backwards 100 feet. And I think it all just adds to the fun. You're not necessarily playing The Precinct to feel like a tactical SWAT officer, that's role playing or anything like that. It's just kind of goofy mayhem while technically upholding the law, and the developers clearly didn't polish The Precinct to, AAA shine, if you will, and unsurprisingly, that works in its favor. So now I know I've been talking about the clunkiness or the jankiness. Let's sort of unpack that. It's definitely not to the same scale as a game like Schedule 1 that came out recently. That game is the definition of janky in the best possible way. This game is much more polished than that, but there's definitely, the driving physics feel like every car has a brick taped to the gas pedal. The AI is inconsistent. Sometimes criminals will run 5 feet and give up, or sometimes they'll turn into Olympic sprinters with a death wish. And like I said before, the ragdoll physics, it's like Goat Simulator and Max Payne mixed together on a budget, which I just love. So it's a different style, a different genre of this jankiness, but I think it's the kicker. It's hilarious. You find yourself T-boning a fire hydrant while chasing a purse snatcher who just clipped through a mailbox. I mean, I could keep going on and on. The game just thrives off of not taking itself too seriously, and that exact thing is for a very certain kind of gamer, and I think that's the biggest distinguishing factor on deciding if this game is worth it for you. If you don't like that thing, this is just not for you. Now, aesthetically, The Precinct just absolutely nails a specific vibe. They did a fantastic job. So personally, LA Noire is probably a top 3 favorite video game for me of all time. So for me, the overall setting and vibe to this game is right up my alley. I knew that before even downloading the game. I just knew I was gonna love the aesthetic. And then also, like, you have this isometric camera, which I mentioned, and it's very clearly a deliberate throwback. They're doing that to pull at your heartstrings. They know that some of those older gamers haven't seen the GTA top-down style of camera in a really long time, and the city has this smoggy neon glow, and it almost, like, it just feels like it's straight out of a VHS tape, which is perfect considering the 80s setting of this game, but it's not technically impressive. You won't necessarily be blown away by texture detail or lighting fidelity, although the game definitely has its moments. You know, there are some good parts, but stylistically, it works out that way. And then additionally, the soundtrack, it kind of leans into like this retro, moody ambiance. And then you have the voice acting. It's probably one of my biggest points of concern. Maybe not the voice acting, but in all the cinematics, if you would call them that. I mean, they're serviceable considering the plot is more of a secondary aspect of the game. It's definitely cheesy and cliche though. So I'm not a massive fan of the still dialogue that's happening in the back, but the plot, like I said, it's not the entire point like how it is in a game like LA Noire. It's much more so the gameplay that's going on in the background. But you know, you have sound effects. It's like the gunshots have some decent weight. There's radio chatter. It's really immersing you in this whole like cop experience, but don't necessarily expect immersive sim levels of detail. This is much more arcade than simulator, which is another distinguishing factor if you're thinking about buying this game. So speaking of cliche, let's actually talk about the story here for a second without giving away anything. So Nick Cordell Jr., like I said, the son of a fallen, respected officer, he joins the police force to uncover what happened to his dad, and he's hoping to clean up the mean streets of Averno City. I mean, come on, that's like the plot of every buddy cop movie ever and every noir comic book rolled into one. Like I said before, dialogue is gritty, it's not particularly deep. The characters are more so archetypes than fully fleshed out people. It doesn't really feel all that personable. You've got the shrewd chief, you have the partner who doesn't play by the rules, and so on. It's just very cliche, but again, if you're expecting some groundbreaking plot, some groundbreaking narrative design, you're just missing the whole point. The Precinct isn't trying to be Red Dead Redemption 2, it's trying to be the video game version of watching Lethal Weapon on a scratched DVD while eating cereal. You know what I mean? Like, I hope that comparison resonates with someone, because that's just the vibe that I got. And of course, no honest review would be complete without addressing some of the rough edges. To be honest with you, I mean, it's not really something that I'm worried about with this game. I mean, the game definitely has bugs, but so does every game ever. It's not a lot, it's just kind of what you would expect from an indie game. Technically, I played through this specific background gameplay that you guys are watching in the pre-alpha phase, so it's probably more buggy looking than the full release, but you know, there are some dropped frames during the vehicle chases and things like that, but nothing game altering, and I would say that the bugs and glitches aren't something necessarily that you should worry about when considering this game. Especially, I mean, the dev team just seems to be very responsive, so I don't think this is going to be a massive problem. So, should you buy the Precinct? The honest answer is that it depends entirely on what you are looking for. Hopefully you have a better idea now after watching this video. If you're someone who enjoys tight, polished, open world experiences with deep stories and high replay value, this probably is not going to be the game for you. But if you're nostalgic for that classic top-down GTA, or you like cop games like LA Noire like me, or if you enjoy games that let you go off script and make your own fun, you don't mind some jankiness, I think the Precinct is probably worth a look for you. It's also one of the more unique games to come out recently in a genre that's been overly obsessed with realism for far too long, in my opinion, so it seems like a breath of fresh air. Speaking of GTA, you guys should check out some of my recent content on GTA 6 Trailer 2 if you are interested, but let me know down in the comments what you guys think of the Precinct, what did I miss, and besides for that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.